Welcome to Life in Business, the podcast for business owners who want the confidence to grow without having to hustle 24/7. I'm Libby Langley, your host, award-winning no BS business coach and Amazon best-selling author. Join me each week to learn simple and practical strategies for growing your business, growing your profits, growing your confidence, and for having fun in business too. Here's this week's episode. Hello, Libby Langley here for another episode of Life in Business, talking to you directly into your ears. Nice to be here again. I'm going to talk to you about wobbles today, partly because it's just one of the best words that you can ever say, and also because, well, you're going to have one, or 20, maybe even today, but probably by the end of the week, right? Wobbling in your business can range from a tiny little, I'm not sure, to what is happening? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing any of this. Everybody hates me, blah, 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 right? Yeah, it's real. It's a reality of being in business. It's funny, really, though, because I don't think it's normalised enough because it's, or talked about enough because it's, flipping it, we all have them, right? Multiple times a day sometimes. And it's not because we're not good at what we do and we don't think that we're good at what we do, right? It's not because of that, I don't believe, because you wouldn't be in business unless you thought you had something to offer people. So that's that bit kind of, that's that bit dealt with. So why the wobbles? Well, there's loads of reasons, really. I would define a wobble in business as kind of like a moment of doubt, right? A bit of hesitation, or you've hit a bit of a setback. You know, you plan things in your head and for some reason or other, not everybody got the memo that that was how it's supposed to happen. And I think that's probably the biggest cause of my wobbles. It's just such a good word to say. I think just say, that's what I want you to do right now. I don't care where you are or what you're doing. Just say it along with me. Wobble, wobble, wobble. There you see it. If that hasn't made you feel better, then, I don't know what will. But they're kind of, I call it a wobble because it's not shutting, it's not shutting you down, right? It's not like catastrophic. It's uncertainty and hesitation and doubt. And I do think that, I don't know if your brain is the same, but certainly for my neurodivergent brain, I decide something in my head, I make a plan, and I just assume that that's what's going to happen because I'm so good. My imagination is so vivid and I'm so good at kind of creating a reality that I believe to be reality, but isn't necessarily the reality of life. And so when it doesn't happen, when someone doesn't respond in the way that you, in your head, they're going to, or, the phone doesn't ring, God, no, that would be awful. The email doesn't come in that you're expecting to come in because of what you created in your head. That alone can create a bit of a wobble, right? Because it's, we want things to happen and we desperately want things to happen in the way that we want them to happen, but they don't. So we have to normalize these wobbles, right? And kind of get used to the fact that, it's a roller coaster. Having a business, running a business, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, it's never going to go the way that we want it to in our heads because, well, that would make everything would be far too easy then, wouldn't it? And we could just get everything done by lunchtime on a Monday and then knock off for the rest of the week. Doesn't work like that. Okay. So it's really, really important for me to say that these wobbles are completely natural. They're absolutely part of anybody's entrepreneurial journey. There will be doubt and hesitation for everybody, even the most hardened sociopaths in the entrepreneurial world. And they're absolutely not a sign of failure, right? What I think is certainly, that they vary from minor to slightly bigger, right? They're never massive because that's almost like a different thing, But the things where I've kind of wobbled along the way have led to greater learning and I don't say that to be like, you can learn from your mistakes, I don't say that to be there about it. But, greater learning, certainly greater understanding of myself and perhaps the way that people respond to things. Because if people don't immediately like sign up for something because you've in your head constructed this story that this one post is going to change everything, which is not, but then, the wobble that you're having as a result of that is actually just because that's not how stuff works, right? So it's never a failure and it's never a criticism. It's just, okay, I need to just bed into this feeling now. I need to just sit here, experience this, and then keep moving forwards. It's kind of really as simple as that. Like if you have that you can get these are they called wobble boards? I don't know. The things that you stand on to help you with your strengthening your core, right? Like half a ball with a board over the top of it. It's the same as that, right? You can balance for ages. You can just stand there and it's fine. And then suddenly it's like, whoop, oh no, I've lost my balance. And you can regain it or you fall off, but you can get back on again. You see, it's not catastrophic, right? It's just part of the process. And I'm hesitating to say this because I'm not sure if it's actually true, but the longer you've been in business, the fewer wobbles you have. I do think it's true. I'm just trying to think because I've been in business for 13 years and I'm thinking, do I have fewer wobbles than I used to? And I think yes, generally, because I know absolutely categorically that what I'm doing is the right thing, right? I found it. And so there isn't the need, the wobbles are just like, oh, I don't know, today I feel too tired, or oh, I really thought we were going to work together, something kind of like that, rather than it being, what on earth am I doing, right? So I think you do get more comfortable in yourself as you go along, but there are all sorts of triggers for what this can be. I mean, it can be things like financial stuff. If your income isn't what you hoped your income can be, that can kind of have a knock-on effect with your with what you're doing, making you question yourself a little bit more and lead to self-doubt. And certainly one of the big triggers of this is comparisonitis. So comparing yourself to others and, oh, well, they've done a 10K month. You don't know that. You're not their accountant. They're just saying they've done that. Nobody knows. Who cares, or they're, I don't know, they're younger, they're thinner, they post 10 times a day. They do reels. I can't show my face on camera, whatever. This can all lead to wobbles. But the thing that really matters is that you are doing what you are happy with and you are doing what is right for you. Okay. That's the thing that's going to keep you stabilized on this wobble board that you're standing on. Right. And I think it's easy to fall into this comparison trap. Right. But it's really, really, it's so pointless and so unhelpful to us as entrepreneurs because we're not somebody else. So who cares what they're doing? It's not to say you can't listen to other people, be inspired by them, hear their words and adapt them to what you need. I mean, that's literally the reason that you're listening to this, right? That's very, very different from saying, oh, well, Libby does a podcast. I don't have a podcast. And that causing this massive wobble for you. And it's like, well, start one or don't start one. It doesn't make, it's just your journey. It doesn't make any difference, right? So that's kind of how to separate those two things out there. And I think kind of recognizing your trigger points, right, for this comparisonitis is quite important. Let me guess, it'll be social media. So make sure that anybody who triggers you in any way, shape or form, or causes you to have even a kind of ounce of doubt about yourself, you just unfollow them, right? You just get rid of them out of your world. You disconnect, disengage, bye-bye. It doesn't matter. They're not going to know. They're probably not going to care anyway. So that's the healthiest way to kind of get rid of that from your life. And if that's what's causing you to wobble, get rid of it, right? But think about what your triggers are for that. And remember that every single person, even the most seasoned of business owners, have times when things feel unsteady, right? We've been through COVID. I mean, that was the mother of all unsteadiness for so many people, yeah? And some people pivoted, some people stopped, some people changed, some people carried on. Yeah, but everybody went through that period of uncertainty and we all responded to it slightly differently, but we all come out the other side in some, in some shape or form, some doing better, some doing different, but everybody's come out the other side, right? And I think that that's being reflective about things is really helpful, and looking at, rather than adding blame onto anything, and if I'd have done this, it would have been different. Well, whatever, maybe, but you didn't and it wasn't. So that's not helpful. So thinking about, I'm here, this is where I am. Where would I like to be? So what's the step I can take to the next thing? That's a much healthier way of doing it than kind of always living in the past and wishing things were different. Yeah? I don't want that for you. I just don't want you to think about that. And I'm always happy to talk about kind of my wobbles along the way and resisting them or not addressing them, really. I mean, certainly when I started out, building the agency and getting all the staff and getting the office and stuff, and then like having the wobble of just all the realization of just like, yeah, I'm not really happy, and taking the action, making all my team redundant, changing the business model, changing the structure, giving up the office and going back to work from home, all of that stuff. What I did there was I kind of ignored the wobbles because I just thought this is how it should be, right? This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I had to make a pretty drastic change because I hadn't addressed the mini wobbles along the way, right? So they'd built up to be something quite cataclysmic there. And I think one thing that I try and do is I try and have 24 or 48 hours sitting on a decision before I action it. Not all the time. Like the time we decided we were going to go and buy a flat in Manchester and found ourselves in Manchester looking at flats, and we didn't. And it was just like, whoa, what's this, But you need to kind of sit on your decisions for a bit, because that will help you know whether the thing is right or not, or address the feelings underneath it. So when you're feeling a little unsure, think about what it is that you're feeling unsure in, if that makes sense. And if it's a financial thing, then start up some conversations with people. Do some practical action. If it's, I don't know if I like delivering my service like this, make steps to change it. Yeah. I transitioned away from one-to-one support to my group coaching program, or coaching space is a much better way to describe it, because it's not a program, it's a space where you get support from me and of the group, right? I transitioned away from one-to-one to confidence to grow, because I knew that it didn't quite feel right for me doing the one-to-one stuff. And I didn't really know why. I adored the clients and people got great results and transformed their businesses. But there was something about kind of holding the space in the way that I had to that I wasn't liking it. And it led to a bit of a wobble, because it's like, this is successful. I am getting the results. And yet, right? And it's that and yet that's the key to stabilizing the wobble, right? It's something, it could be something for me. It was certainly in the way that I delivered my services, right? Not the clients. Clients gorgeous. Clients are very similar clients now, just my delivery, yeah? And I was in control of that. And so I changed it. And I've never been happier in my business. So there are ways that you can make these adjustments, right? By sitting in it, sitting in the feeling, and not making any rash decisions, because that's the temptation. It's like, I'm going to change everything and I'm going to do this differently and do that differently. And it's like, no, let's just be calm for a minute and let's kind of stay grounded in this, yeah? Go for a walk, think about why I started my business. what I really like about my business, and then just look at the few things that might need adjusting along the way. And I bet it's probably less than you think. Well, I hope it is, because I don't want anyone to have to go through the kind of big traumas that I've been through in my business by not listening to myself earlier on and not addressing the wobbles as they come, right? And wait until they are a big thing that impacts more people and it's really traumatic. Yeah, I don't know if you've downloaded my free guide about this. If you go to libbylangley.com/guide, it's quite a chunky PDF that you can download, which I know sounds really sexy, right? But it'll be really helpful to kind of help you think like what's not right and what's not sitting right and where this kind of overwhelming wobbly thing comes from. So that might be helpful for you. And I would say as well, for you to prioritize what's in your control, right? Some of the stuff that's causing the wobble may be completely out of your control, like COVID, for example, right? None of us could do anything about that. We had to adapt to I think coming from 5 years ago now when it all started, but we had to kind of adapt to a situation not of our own making. So that was a really extreme example, but we did. So we could control like the action steps that we took, and focusing your energy, then and obviously now, but focusing your energy on what you can actually control in your business, in your life, rather than kind of spiraling over into the unknowns is what's going to be really helpful for you. So all the what ifs, I mean, who knows? We can't predict any of that. We can't plan for any of that. I mean, to a certain extent, you can have a buffer of savings and all this stuff, right? But nobody really knows what's going to happen in the future. So we can say, you can know what your vision is. You can know what you'd really, really like to achieve, and you can work towards that. And if that flexes and changes and you wobble and stuff, great, fine. You find the path that is right. And you find the stepping stones along the path that fit you. Yeah. And that's the way to do it. So, but focusing your energy on what you can actually control rather than spiraling is definitely a good thing. And of course, make sure that you've got support, right? Talk to someone when you're wobbling. Reach your hand out to someone for them to steady you. That can be a friend. It can be a business buddy, someone you just know who also has their own business, or of course can be a peer group like a Facebook group or a business coach or a coaching space like mine. There's lots of options for you to reach out and to get support, but it is really, really important because we are not islands. And the trouble with or the escalating issue with not addressing a minor wobble when it pops up is it becomes bigger. It's wibbly, 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 wobbly. And that's when things go awry, right? So there's no shame whatsoever in saying, I don't know today. Message me and say that. And, we can talk it out, right? It's really, really important to have this support network, and it kind of doesn't matter who it is. Really, it doesn't matter who it is. The beauty of being in a coaching space or having a business coach is that that's kind of ongoing support that's there for that purpose, right? So I obviously extol the virtues of that, and the space will be held for you, and you remember previous conversations, and it's part of the journey. But if you just pick a random person that you know on on LinkedIn or Instagram and you've had a few chats with before and just say, I just feel a bit weird today, can I just talk to you for a second? And I'm sure you'll have a to and fro couple of messages and you'll feel better, right? So it doesn't matter, but make sure that you have someone there for you. But yeah, I'm here for sure. And the grown-up way to kind of deal with this, right? Because we have to keep telling ourselves that we're grown-ups. Someone said to me in an Instagram message, and it just made me howl, but also made my heart feel so full of kind of joy, was that they said when they'd read my book, and sent me a message to say, really enjoyed your book, got loads out of it, and I want to be you when I grow up. And it was just the cutest message. But it also made me think, oh God, am I the grown up in all of this? I might have absolutely tons of experience, but I'm also the one who will say, oh, it's raining, let's go out and run down the street and just do something ridiculous. But yeah, life's about balance, right? So, if you're having a wobble, use it as an opportunity. I don't know why I said that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Use it as an opportunity for reflection, for learning, for growth, because it always is. But I can't say it enough, really, to kind of sit in the feeling, not to wallow in the wobble, but to just think, what am I actually feeling here and where is it coming from? Yeah. What can I learn from this? Grasshopper. How can I kind of look underneath the feeling to find out what's actually kind of going on? And it takes a bit of work and a bit of practice that. But honestly, it's dead helpful. Really, really dead helpful, because often the thing that we're thinking isn't really what we're thinking. The wobble is around a lack of confidence or a lack of skill or perceived lack of skill or, something like that can be talked through or learnt for sure. So yeah, ask yourself questions, things like, what can I learn here? And how can this make me stronger? Yeah. You can go too far with that. But there's definitely ways of kind of phrasing those questions that are going to be helpful for you. So just like, right, what is actually going on here? And I wouldn't do that when you're sitting at your desk and your mind is blank and your screen is blank and you don't know what the bloody hell you're doing, right? Go for a walk or talk it out with someone, and actually you'll find the answers. Yeah. By talking it out or thinking it through, you will find the answers of what you need to do to kind of get through this. And it's not to say that miraculously everything will be solved. But certainly you'll think, oh, right, okay, if I do that, that's going to help. Yeah. Or have a nap. Naps are great for like reframing stuff, I always find. But it's small pivots, yeah? Small adjustments. Small pivots? Do you have a small pivot? Small changes, small adjustments that's going to make the big difference. And one of the biggest and best things that you can do is go back to your business foundations, right? Go back to thinking about what your vision is, what your mission is, what your purpose is, what lights your fire, what fires you up for the day. Yeah. If you go back to that when you're having a wobble, it will help you move forward, because you'll be able to see whether the wobble is like just a dead normal wobble because today's a wobbly day, or something that needs tweaking and changing. And that can be one of the most helpful things that you do. And it's why I talk so much with my clients, but with anybody who'll listen, about the importance of building business foundations, because if we try and build a house without solid foundations, it's going to fall down. If you try and build a business without solid foundations, it's going to be rubbish and really hard work and unsatisfying, right? So the foundations are so, so important. And actually, if you download that guide that I mentioned before, if you go to libbylangley.com/guide, it talks about these business foundations as well. So it's going to be helpful on lots of levels for you getting hold of that. So think about how you can steady your wobbles, and think about how you can kind of build them as resilience steps for the future, right? So maybe think about each wobble as a stepping stone. If you kind of I don't know if you're a visual person, but if you visualize that could actually be quite helpful. So if you think of, your business journey being crossing a big river and there's stepping stones in there, and some of the stepping stones might be a bit slippery. Some of them might have a bit of a wobble on them, and some of them will be absolutely set and have been there since time began, right? And that's kind of like your business journey. So as long as you know what the other side is, as in what you want from life, your vision, your mission, your purpose, yeah, what you want life to be, as long as you know what that is, you're going to make it across these stepping stones. And I think that could be quite a helpful way of you thinking about that, because it's just another step in the journey, right? It's just something that's moving you forward. And it is going to, each one that you experience, attack, deal with, and move on from is going to make you stronger. It's going to make you stronger as a human and as a business owner. And that's what's so important here, is that these things are going to happen, right? The wobbles are going to happen. You can't get rid of them and you can't stop them, but you can use them to learn from and to make you stronger and to be an important part of the journey. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily fun, right? But if you do say, "Oh, I'm having a wobble, 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 wobble," it will make you laugh. So, and that could be one way of getting through that. Maybe it only makes me laugh. That would be terrible, as if you're listening to this and thinking, that isn't funny, whereas I think it's funny. But I want you to say it because it's such a funny word to say, right? And that can help you add an element of humour to stuff, right? Because some of these wobble times are just really shit and really hard. So injecting a bit of humour, injecting a bit of fun, and remember that it's a wobble, not a catastrophe, right? The world hasn't ended. It's just, today I'm not so sure, yeah? But reach out to whoever is in your support network, and obviously if you want to come join Confidence to Grow and wobble to your heart's content with everybody in my coaching space, then you are always welcome. Okay. Good. So wobble, wobble, wobble. Sending you off wobbling with lots of love and lots of normalising of the way that we feel. So thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to Life in Business. Please make sure that you subscribe or follow so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review, as it helps others to find the podcast and spread the word that there's an easier way to do business. If you want to chat with me about today's episode or suggest a topic for the future, I would love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram @Libby Langley. See you next week.